everybody, welcome to this week's Coffee with Hila. Hope you had a good week. It's been incredibly eventful as usual. There's always so much happening at the moment with Israel. We should do a Zoom because I want to ask you how your week has been, and it would be nice to hear some feedback. If you want me to do that, let me know on my private messages or in the comments. Okay, so before I start today, I feel that many times my Friday post and my post about Israel have something in common. And there's something I forgot to mention in my Friday post, which I think perhaps there was a reason for it, which is that it is actually related to what is going on with Israel. Today I want to talk about Homa ומגדל. Homa ומגדל is tower and wall. It was something, it was a 52 speedy establishments of fortified communities in Israel in 1937, and it was as a result of the Arab Revolt, the violent Arab Revolt in Israel during the British Mandate. Before I get to that, there's a few points I wanted to talk about, which are to do with everything that's going on. So, you know that I was talking about manipulative behavior and narcissism during my Friday post for Shabbat. And the worst thing that can happen to somebody in a manipulative relationship, when they're in a relationship where they're either with a narcissist or other dark triads or somebody who's just highly manipulative, is that the third party comes in and they try and persuade the victim or the one who is being used and oppressed. Excuse me, I need to turn off the heating. Trying to persuade them to come up with a solution, and always ask them to do something to appease or to go towards the aggressor in order to keep the peace. So it happens in people, anyone who's ever been involved with a narcissist, whether it's through work or with a very manipulative person. Okay, I don't like those labels, but you know, there's many kinds of manipulative people. So whether it was through a relationship, whether it was a parent, whether it was a work colleague, whether it was just somebody you had some engagement in your life and you felt that they're manipulating you in such a way, you would recognize it. You would recognize it when it happens. And that's one of the things that keep being repeated with relation to Israel, because there's all these good-hearted people, you know, the way to hell is paved with good intentions. So there's all these good, kind-hearted people who try and understand the reasons. Why are we so hated by our Arab neighbors, or by the Arabs calling themselves Palestinians, and some of them that have been living in Israel? Why is there a reason for their, like I was in another counter-protest yesterday, and you have all those signs that they have, and all these like sickening ideas, like by any means necessary, like we took the land from them and now it's there, which we have never ever done. But even if we have, what happened on the 7th of October, which was just the finale of years and years and years of systematic murders of Jews, but after the 7th of October, when people justify it and say by any means necessary, and that was justified because they need to get back their land, it's like the people have lost their moral compass completely. So it's really shocking to see that, but it's a result of years of appeasement. Because when the British mandate controlled Israel, when the British had the mandate over the land of Israel, they made many decisions against the Jewish settlement, against the Jewish people, against the Jewish residents of the land of Israel. So at the moment, so the two things. Okay, so to do with the 2 points I wanted to mention. One of them was the fact that no other country in the world has been inspected by a magnifying glass such as Israel. Through any war, any conflict they had, we are being inspected like we're some kind of leper. It's like we haven't got the capacity or the moral compass to do it ourselves. So we need all those other people to judge us and inspect us and come and check the Nukba flipping prisoners, the ones who raped little girls, who beheaded babies, who cut open pregnant women. The British demanded of the Israeli government to allow people to go and visit those those horrible creatures in prison, when they look fantastic compared to the ones in Russia, the ISIS ones in Russia that were made to eat their own ears. But, but nobody has been demanded to go and see Ariel Bibas, the baby, or any of our other hostages that were kidnapped from their homes on the 7th of October, that never did any wrong to anybody. So this entire involvement and this magnifying glass inspection of Israel and this obsession with two sides to every story is the reason that we are being judged so harshly. And another thing I want to say about that is, when somebody blames you for something over and over and over, it's like, if you the thing that I forgot to mention about on my Friday posted, that some people that are being manipulated end up, if they're very weak or if they're in a weak time in their lives, end up believing the accusations of the manipulator. And usually the worst thing about narcissistic abuse and manipulation is the isolation they cause you, because your best friends, your family believe their manipulations and lies about you, which you didn't see coming. So it's like they take the things that hurt you most and they use them against you. Like, for example, it's one of two methods. One, they take the things that hurt you most and they use them to hurt you by poking in, like reminding you over and over of these events. And in another scenario, they blame you for the things that you have been affected the most by and that have been disastrous and the most painful for you in your life. But because they are so observant and so manipulative, and they listen, they're very attentive. They listen and they keep record and they keep track. And they make sure that they will throw this in your face in order to gain something in return. So what happened with the Palestinians, I think everybody with a common sense would see that in this case between Israel and the Palestinians, or the Arabs who call themselves Palestinians, and all those that agree with them, is a case of a narcissistic monster which has been lying since its inception. Everything about this Palestinian narrative is fraudulent from day one, and it's been made to twist people around their little finger, and made them believe a certain narrative. And Israel is the appeasing empath or victim of this relationship, always expected to make concessions, to do more, to try harder, to offer, to give, in order to appease the aggressor, in order to make peace, in order for them to stop hurting us. For bloody almost 100 years, they haven't stopped murdering us. How much more does the world want us to give? Why does the world keep on getting involved in our business and asking us to give more? The two-state solution. They're not interested in a two-state solution. Look in 1937, after the great Arab Revolt of barbarians, and the British, the Peel Committee and the British offered to give, I think, 58% of the land of Israel to the Arabs. And they didn't want it. In Israel, there was a few objections. Of course, the left was for it, the right was against it, and the Arabs were all against it. Why? Because they want all of Israel. So from 1937 until 2024, people keep repeating the same patterns and expecting a different outcome. It's never going to happen. We are being terrorized, and the world demands us to give gifts to the terrorists to appease them in order to achieve some miraculous solution that is never going to happen, because it's not their, it isn't their goal. They're not interested. So I was thrown of course. So basically, the thing about being used, what is being used against us. If you look at what happened with Alec Baldwin the other day, I don't know if you saw that video. In he's gone to a cafe, a Starbucks or something, to buy a cup of coffee, and some crazy pro-Palestinian got into the coffee shop and started asking him to say he's pro-Palestine and demanding him to take sides with her, and he just didn't, he grey rocked her. He just didn't answer. And then she started throwing at him, oh, you shot somebody 2 years ago, oh, this thing. I don't know if you know the incident when he was filming. During filming, he had a fully loaded gun. God knows why he had a fully loaded gun. But during filming, accidentally, the photographer got killed, or he killed the photographer accidentally, because they were shooting the movie, and it happened. So it was a right tragedy. So what this woman did is she took the most painful thing she could think about and dug it into his stomach, like tried to torture him emotionally in order to achieve something, in order to gain something from him. This is a very narcissistic manipulation. This is like, wow, it's incredibly cruel. So she's done that. He, of course, didn't fall in for a trap. He called the police, and it ended. Other scenario is people going to people like Yosef Haddad, who was an Arab Israeli, and they throw it in his face, the fact that he's an Arab, and try and blackmail him and tell him that the Jews are using him, and try and hurt his most basic core of self-respect in order to get him to turn around and be against us and for them. And this manipulation, these tactics, is what has been used against Israel all along, with the phrases like the word genocide that's being used against us. Everything that happened during the Holocaust, everything horrible that happened to us, everything horrible they've done to us on the 7th of October, they call us baby killers in the march, the terror march yesterday with Sinn Féin members and Corbyn and all the worst criminals you can think of, marching with left-wing progressives that I don't think would agree with the IRA, by the way, but you know, they were all marching together and they have one common ground that unites them all, and it's pure anti-Semitism and hatred for Israel, which largely is based on Britain's involvement as a third party trying to make peace, trying to get involved and understand the conflict, understand the ins and outs of the reasons why the Arabs decided to murder us. Why the Arabs decided to murder us? Because they were bloody barbarian killers. Why? They wanted our land. So instead of trying to understand, you punish, and you don't give, and you don't make concessions to you know. So the Arabs in Israel that lived in Israel in 1936, those who became Arab citizens and who see themselves as Israelis, as Israeli Arabs, they are part of us. Israel embraces them. They live as equals to us. And they can do anything that we can in Israel. But those calling themselves Palestinians are ones who never accepted. Hello, Amber. This is the Amber that I'm looking after. They never accepted our sovereignty of Israel. They never accepted Israel as the government, the establishment, the freedom, because Israel always belonged to us. So this narcissistic manipulation that's being used against us. So this is first the fact that they throw in our faces the things that would hurt us most, and the things that they get people to actually think that are correct, because they keep on and on and on repeating them, you know, and people hear those lies over and over, so they start believing them, and I believe even the people who tell those lies start believing those lies themselves. And another thing that happened is there was all this conversation about genocide. The word genocide should have never even been spoken about in relation to Israel's treatment of any other population in the world. But what happened? The only close thing to a genocide was what the Palestinian terrorists did in Israel on the 7th of October. But what they did is like a child at school coming to beat the hell out of you, and then run quickly and hide behind the teacher and say, he's going to hit me, guard me. And that's what the Palestinians did. So the minute after 7th of October, they went to the international community and to the UN and asked them, protect us, make sure that Israel is not going to commit a genocide against us, which obviously we were never going to do, even though I will not say it, okay? How I felt at the end of the 7th of October, we are not impulsive people. But if we were, and if we were inclined to do all the things that we are being blamed for, you know, we didn't want them to stay alive after what they did to us. And I don't think any of you would have done. Anybody who would have gone through what we went through on the 7th of October would not want the people responsible for it to remain alive, okay? So, but the thing was that they entered the word genocide into the conversation, because what they did, and it was spoken about on the BBC in one of the programs, which I don't watch TV and I don't watch BBC, but I had this clip sent with this, I think it's a talk show, something like that, hard talk, something like that, and it was declared in a very fancy manner of speech that half the people would not understand the insinuations and the thin lines between the words. But basically what that woman said, which was very clear, is that Israel has never been suspected or even considered to have committed anything similar to a genocide. But the word came into the public's knowledge because the Arabs requested that Israel will not commit a genocide against them. And the only word they chose this word is because they wanted this word to be out there. And that's all they had to do. They throw a bomb and they run away. And then the world has to deal with the repercussions. So this is what happened with this word. And the other thing that they do, so that's one of the things, is that they use this word against us over and over. And the fact is, like, if you are somebody that, even a parent, if you blame a child with something, you keep telling them, or you think you're convinced that they're lying to you, or if another person, and you keep telling them, oh, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar, and you treat them like they're liars. And sometimes they actually believe you and start becoming that. They start behaving like they're being judged. Like if one person blames another person for something they've never done, but they repeatedly blame them and blame them and blame them, the people start doubting themselves. Some people, not everyone, some people start doubting themselves, start behaving according to how they are being judged and perceived. So you imagine if Israel didn't have the moral compass we have, and if we weren't made of the most compassionate people on this planet, then what would have stopped us after everybody's blaming us with all those horrible words? We could have quite easily become any of these things we've been blamed for, because we're already being judged as if we've done them. We're already being thrown in our faces as if we've done them. People are marching with signs saying that we've done all those horrible things, and we have to ask the police, can you ask them to remove those signs? Somebody was holding a sign that IDF soldiers are terrorists. And we told the policeman, can you please get that removed? Because this woman, I could have literally gone and ripped that sign off her hand myself. I was like, I could not believe my eyes. And when he asked, what's anti-Semitic about it, or what's wrong with it? Then I told him, you know, when the IRGC attacked Israel, the British Army stood by us. They fought with us against that. So if we are terrorists, what does it make those who fight with us? Does it make the British Army terrorists? And that dropped the penny, and he understood straight away what was wrong with it. It's very easy to throw all these sentences out there. It's very easy to throw away all the lies and manipulations and distortions about Israel, and people just swallow it like gospel. So this is about the current events and the things that to do it with the narcissistic abuse, with the manipulation, and with relation to what is happening in Israel. The world is getting involved. The world has always got involved. It's time the world stops getting involved, and it's time to stop appeasing the monster. Because what happened now is no different to what happened in Israel in 1929, to what happened in Israel in 1936. It's just changing its methods. Because during the Great Arab Revolt, when they murdered hundreds of Israelis in Israel, the British mandate tried to understand the reasons. And they had this PO committee trying to understand what caused their aggression, their unhappiness. And they offered them 58% of Israeli land, of Jewish land, which of course they didn't want. And Britain offered to keep Jerusalem for them, like a neutral force, because as if it's not our sacred city, it's our holy city from the biblical times. It will never change, always been, always will be the capital of the Jewish people. Jerusalem, we pray towards Jerusalem. It's a prayer that's being said when we get married. It's something that has been repeated since biblical times, and it's never going to change no matter how much the world doesn't like it. But the British mandate wanted to make peace, wanted to appease between the narcissistic monster and the empaths who suffer from this monster, on and on and on. Now, the problem is that Israel is not one person. Because when there's no Amber, when there is a manipulation tactic or a manipulative relationship between two people, then you as one individual can make a choice and you can remove yourself from that situation. But when it's a country and it's involving many people, you have many opinions and everybody believes in another method. So of course there's the left in Israel, which always wants to appease the monster and thinks that if we make more concessions and give them more and do a two-stage solution, which they're not interested in, but we'll shove it down their throat nevertheless, because this is what the world believes is the solution. So there are people in Israel who think that. I think they're a very small minority. And there's the large majority in Israel understands after the 7th of October, nothing can happen again like it did in 1936, 1937, 1947, all those times when offers have been made and concessions have been made. It's time for separation. You cannot denazify an entire population if you do not separate them and take them out from those communities when they are together all the time, because they're feeding themselves with the lies and the manipulations over and over and over. So after that Peel committee, when they came to the conclusion that when they offered the first two-state solution in 1937 and the Arabs declined it, then the Jewish settlers in Israel, the Jewish residents of Israel, the Jewish people who lived in Israel from always, and the ones who were new immigrants who came to Israel, immediately started building those fortified communities, which were surrounded. They were called wall and tower. They were surrounded by a wall that was made of a wooden fence and then gravel in between and another wooden fence, and to protect them from the weapons of the Arabs. Guess who gave them the weapons? And the tower. And in the tower there were the guards that were warning of Arabs coming near and coming to slaughter us, because why not? And during that time, the British mandate was very hostile towards the Jewish people and very appeasing towards the Arabs. And they tried to stop any kind of settlement in Israel. They tried to stop any Jews from coming into Israel. They tried to stop us from rebuilding or building the country into whatever it is today. And they sided with the Arabs, continuously trying to appease them. And during all these little communities of the Wall and Tower, one of them was very close to me. It was all, they were all away from big cities, all away from big towns or big central communities. So there was a few where I came from, because I'm from Nahariya, which is in the north of Israel. It's a small town relatively. And there were places like Shavei Tzion, which is a very small village next to us, which was made by people who escaped from Nazi Germany. And they lived in this enclosure. You know, there's another thing that people say, oh, we built those fences, the wall between us and Gaza. They don't mention the big wall between Egypt and Gaza, but we also closed ourselves. We created a cage for ourselves, not just for them, because we have a wall there, we have enemies here, we have enemies there, we have the sea there. It's not like, and Israel is a small country, so it's not like we put a wall because we wanted to close them off. We put a wall because we wanted to protect ourselves. Not that it helped, but that was the aim of that. So during this time of the Wall and Tower communities being built, it was an establishment of we are here. It was putting a fact in front of the British, telling them we are here. We're not going anywhere. This is our land. And we are here, and we're gonna, if we need to protect ourselves because you don't want to protect us, we will protect ourselves. And that's what we did. So we had the people who were guarding the communities. We had the guards in the tower alerting from Arabs who want to come and kill us, and the residents who were fighting them if they did. So that was about Homa Migdal. There's a lot more in depth. I only touched on it a little bit, but I think English, forget some words. I think basically what we can learn from everything that has happened over the nearly 100 years since 1936 and 1937 is the two-state solution is not an option. Two-state solution is not something they want. Two-state solution is not something we want. And the world needs to stay out of our business. It is not Britain's problem. It is not the UN, who is very, very pro-Arab and pro-Palestinian and very anti-Israeli and very anti-Semitic, who had the UNRWA, who put the key to Israel in one of the Palestinian towns, which yesterday somebody in the march held this massive key to symbolize that they have the key to Israel. Israel was never theirs. Israel was never theirs. They arrived from the Arab countries as either through a revolt, through the Arab conquest, or as work immigrants. And those who accept Israel's right to exist and live with us in peace and call themselves Israeli Arabs are living with us as equals. And I honestly believe that anybody who calls themselves Palestinians need to be moved elsewhere. And if the world is so concerned, lovely Biden, you've got 50, 52, how many states have you got? Give them one. Ireland, you want to give them one? Give them one. But these people, if you care about the children in Palestine, you need to remove them from this murderous ideology that raises them. Because they're being raised to become shaheeds. They're being born out of hatred, not out of love. Imagine being born out of hatred as a child. Being brought up into hatred. All they learn about in school. The Mein Kampf in Arabic in every house. The map of Israel with their Palestinian flag in every house. With the country that was never theirs. Step out of this belief. So many comments I see comments on, there was a video on Instagram of a child seeing her father as an IDF soldier coming home, an IDF reservist, coming home after months she hasn't seen him, and she's running to him and she's crying with like she missed him so much. And if you would see the comments, oh my God, how many children did he kill? What has he done to the Palestinians? Nothing. We've done nothing to the Palestinian children. Come out of it. Come out of your fantasy world that you create in your heads. There is no two sides to every story. It's not always equal. There's bad and there's good. And like in a narcissistic relationship, when there is a victim and an aggressor, also in this situation, since forever, the Arabs were the aggressors and we are not. I don't care how you want to twist it and whatever you want to believe. Okay? Anybody who does not agree on a right to exist should not be living in Israel or in Gaza or in Judea and Samaria. These people who are committed to murdering us and to the destruction of Israel should be moved elsewhere. They can be given a country, they can be living in prosperity near Qatar, I don't know where, one of those terrorist supporting countries. They can live in a terrorist supporting country and be raised as terrorists for the rest of their lives. Or if people genuinely care about those children and genuinely want these children to have a future of creation, of love, of empathy, to be raised upon values of love and peace, those children need to be raised in a society that promotes those values. They need to be separated. The same way as a British child would be taken away from his home by the welfare officers if he would have been abused. These children in Gaza are being abused. The children in Judea and Samaria are being abused. They are being used as pawns in the game of by any means necessary. They have no childhood. They're being taught to hate from the day they are born. And if people care about them, they need to be raised elsewhere. You think how long it took to denazify Nazi Germany. This is not going to happen there. It is not going to succeed in a place like that when it's been systematic over years and years and years, and it's in every layer, and it has been promoted and encouraged by finances from governments, foreign governments, from the UN, from UNRWA, from all these good-hearted people that thought that if you give them money, it's going to make them better. The only thing you did is help them create a better killing machine so they can kill us more efficiently. So I think it would be good if the world starts getting less involved in Israel's business and let us solve our own problems and deal with what is happening in your own streets. Because what I saw in London yesterday, you know, these people walking in the streets of London, the things they're saying, the things they believe in, the fact that an IRA member walks with Corbyn, walks with woke people, walks with LGBT people, walking with, they had, it was very well orchestrated. They made sure they're going to have representatives from every walk of life. There was a bloody Hare Krishna walking with people calling for our death. There was a woman pretending to be a rabbi. I don't know if she is a rabbi or not. She's a weirdo, walking with them. Then the Neturei Karta, which are known to be anti-Israel. They're not Zionists. And they're a very small, extreme group of highly Orthodox Jews. They made sure that they have them with them. So they're very well orchestrated pro-terrorist march as people from all walks of life to make it seem like it's a peaceful march. But if you will look at the slogans, if you will look at the things they're written on their signs, if you will listen to what they say, if you will look at what they tell us, the Rev Haley Ace was recording yesterday. She made a live video and they thought she was Jewish. She's a reverend, a Christian reverend. And they told her, go back to Poland, you filthy Jew. Okay, so that's pretty much says everything about that you need to know about those marches of love that cost, by the way, 40 million pounds, if I'm not mistaken, every Saturday that the mayor of London allows them to happen. They cost London 40 million pounds because these people are savages and because everybody needs to be protected of them. How many poor children in London could have been fed with the 40 million pounds that cost to secure those hate marches? How many people that pay ULEZ could have been given new cars or scrap their ULEZ fees and give them their money back? 40 million pounds a week. Think about it. Anyway, I wish you a good weekend, the end of the weekend, Sunday. Well, people in Israel, your weekend's gone, been and gone. But it's Pesach. I actually believe it's Pesach Eve today, second Seder, second night Pesach. Not Seder, second night Pesach, if I'm not mistaken. So have a pleasant time, and until next week, keep safe.